Hey guys, so today we'll be learning about Facebook audience insights and how we can utilize it to the best of its potential to figure out different sorts of targeting metrics and generate better revenues for our business. So, within this entire ecosystem of digital marketing, there have been a lot of people who have come up with different theories of how to, target people better and so on. But the most important thing is still that goes back to marketing's basics. It's the number one, understand your product. Number two, understand your brand, and the number three part is to understand your ideal consumer. Now, a lot of people have actually taken shots at trying to create different types of consumer personas, and to be very honest, they've had varying amount of success. Personally, I came across Ryan Dice, one of the foremost internet marketers, and his audience persona and customer avatars on digitalmarketer.com. Now, that actually gave me a lot of insights on how to actually go about this entire audience and figure out the way of actually creating customer personas based on your primary, secondary, and tertiary ones. That actually helped me a lot in my personal efforts on working with different sort of clients and trying to understand uh, different types of user bases, different types of products, and testing and trying different and getting varying variety of results. Some good, some not so good, and learn and taking my learnings from that. However, what's actually happened is Facebook has actually simplified this for all of us, and Facebook has this tool called Audience Insights, which helps us understand this particular ecosystem a little bit better, helps us create different types of ad sets, helps us figure out different types of targeting metrics, and also on a very hacking perspective, helps us understand and figure out if we can target our competitors' audience. Now let's just deep dive into this. So one of the first things I would recommend you have for this particular aspect is to have your business manager in place. So we have a business manager in place right here, and I will go to my ad account and enter my business manager and go to my ad account and take it from there. So the other thing is you need to have an understanding of how to create a business manager. Number one, if you haven't already understood that or don't have access to that of how to do it, you can go to my previous videos. The link will be in the description. The second part, which you need to understand from a bare basics perspective, is to understand how to create ads. Now, if you don't know that part of it, that's also fine. I have a video. I have done a video on this previously. You can find that as well in the description. Now, moving on, let's go to audience insights and figure out what we want to do today and how we can understand this. Okay, so let's assume that the product we have in question is Under Armour. Okay, now you have two options here. You can actually go after everybody on Facebook or only people connected to your page. Now I'll choose this option of going after everybody on the platform. Now let's assume the audience is in United States and age group is 18 to 20. I'll just keep it as broad as possible. Now one of the key things to understand is what is your product. So what is my brand? Now I will select Under Armour. Okay, so this particular part you can put in an interest and this particular thing appears. You can select this. Now you'll have an understanding of two very key things. Let me just cross this out. Yeah, one is the demographic part and one is the page likes part. Now the demographic part gives you a basic understanding of your user base. Now we understand 52% are women, 48% men. Quite surprising actually. Then we come to relationship status, single, relationship, in a relationship, engaged, married. You can have an understanding of all of these things. Post this, we come to the job title. Number of people who are involved in healthcare, people involved in arts and entertainment, people involved in sales, production. So you can have an understanding of different types of cohorts which are a part of this audience. Now, this is a little bit more, I would say, 50,000 square feet or a more basic approach. The actual value in this is when you go to the page likes part of this. Now, when you go to page likes, you'll understand two main things. You'll understand what other aspects is this particular page or the audience on this page interacting with on different sorts of platforms. So one of the key things to understand is you need to have as I said before, you need to have an understanding of your product and your brand, because if you don't have that, this makes no sense, because not all the options given over here will make sense. So let's just deep dive into this. So let's say my brand is Under Armour and I want to go after, and now I want to understand my brand. So you have your sportswear shop, East Bay, you have your shoe shop, Finish Line, you have your brand. Okay, now these are very American sort of brands. So you have Grunt Style, Express, H&M, American Eagle, Old Navy, and all of that. And then you have product service, Adidas, uh, Fabletics. And not to be honest, I'm not too sure what this is. I can actually go and check it out. You can actually figure this out. Okay, apparel brand. Okay, cool. So this is one of those things, right? Now it's very important for you to understand what is right and what is wrong and what to remove. Now, one of the key things you need to understand in this is this affinity part. Now, if you go to this basically means how likely your audience is to like a given page compared to everybody else on Facebook. So the higher this number is, I would say this number should be at least more than 10. So the higher this number is, the more emphasis you should give on this. Okay. Now we have an understanding, very basic understanding of the kind of audience that interacts with Under Armour's content. Now I want to try and figure out how to create different types of audiences. Right. Now I'll go to let's say a competitor like Adidas. Now I select them. I'll go to their page and they have all of these different types of audiences. What I'll do is I'll go to, give me a second. I'll go to Adidas. Okay. Now the key part is to figure out key aspects which are common in nature. Now, one of the key things we noticed is Finish Line is common, H&M is common, Under Armour obviously it will be there because it's a competitor. Then you have Nordstrom and American Eagle. Now we noticed that Finish Line, H&M, and American Eagle came in the previous one as well. So one of the key things to understand is one of the ad sets can be this competitors, right? Then you have your entertainment one, your Shade Room, North Face. I think even North Face was in the previous audience. So when you come down to this part, this is actually the most important part of it. Now you have these different types of competitors here. This will help you understand your audience. Okay. So once you have an understanding of this and you look at the affinity, look, the affinity part of this is really important. So once you have an understanding of this, you can actually take all of these into your ad sets, test them, figure it out, try and see what kind of results you achieve, and then optimize. Okay. Now let's actually take a step back and do something a little bit more simpler. Let's say you want to advertise a digital marketing service. Okay. Now, how would you do this? And let's just say my topic is digital marketing and I want to sell a course online. Now, let's just take let's from an American perspective, let's take a generic kind of a personality. So I'll take Gary Vaynerchuk. Okay. Now you can actually select on this interest here. Now Gary Vaynerchuk's page, the demographics which are associated with that. Now you look at this: 39% women, 62% men. So you have an understanding that people between 25 and 34 are more inclined to interact with him, right? That is something that you can put aside, saying, okay, this particular audience or this particular subset makes more sense than the others. Now, once you have this understood and ready, you can move on to the other part, which are more inclined and more to do with the type of job profile that people who are related to him have. People involved in production, they're involved in sales, I'm sure they're involved in marketing and entertainment of some sort. Post which you go to the page likes part of it. Now, very clear. So if you look at something like Tim Ferriss, Maya Angelou, the points guy, so you need to actually figure out here which parts of this make sense and which don't. Now, if you're advertising a digital marketing service, Tim Ferriss makes sense. Maya Angelou makes sense to an extent, but UFC doesn't necessarily make sense. You can definitely figure out, let's say, a particular asset where you can target or where you can put only UFC and see if that works out. But on from like just from a bird's eye perspective, it doesn't totally make sense, right? But Tony Robbins makes sense, right? Dollar Shave Club doesn't make sense. Entrepreneur Magazine makes sense, right? So when you go to this, you'll actually figure out people like Tim Ferriss, Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins. Joe Rogan is actually very, very generic. So I'm not sure how that will work out in actually selling a digital marketing course. But these actually, it's actually a half and half, right? So let's take, for the sake of argument, Entrepreneur Magazine, right? Now let's see if Entrepreneur makes sense, right? So you have this. Now, when you come to Entrepreneur Magazine, you will have, okay, I need to relax this a little bit. Yeah. So now you will actually zero down in on an audience. Now, how this works is, so you figured out in the previous one that Gary Vee, entrepreneur, authors like Tony Robbins, Tim Ferriss, and so on are a part of the audience. Now you will go a little bit deeper into this. Look at the publisher, Harvard Business Review. Does it make sense to that particular subset? I think so. It does. Okay. You have travel companies which don't necessarily make sense. Then you have Robert Kiyosaki, author, and entrepreneur. To an extent, it does make sense, right? So when you actually come down and check these particular parts out, you will actually keep on. The idea is to keep optimizing more and more and more. So the more you do this, the better actually it will be for you to sort of try and understand your ideal audience. Now, assume I want to target a particular subset, and it's women's shoes. Okay. Now, women's shoes is a very broad topic, extremely broad. Now, I select this. I've kept the location absolutely open. Now, shopping center, women's shoes, the M shop. You have all of these different uh, brands over here, which are really broad. Okay. Now, that's because I have not put the audience here. When you put the audience, you say United States. Or let me just say India because I'm in India. Let's just say India, right? Okay, this is actually not coming in. So let's just say United States. Right. Now you have the United States here. Now you have a lot of topics now. You have women's shoes, which is a page in itself. You have home decor. You have shoe shops. Then you have public figures who are involved in this. Then there is a lot of, I would say, ambiguous names over here, like TV networks and Amazon Music and all of that. I'm not sure how that makes sense in a very direct sense. So you can actually make this far bigger and actually go pretty deep into this, right? Scan through all of this. What actually makes more sense is for you to choose a slightly more generic or a top label in this field, right? So I just choose Chanel. Let's just take that as an argument. Or I choose H&M, right? Now, when I choose H&M, I get a lot of more specific information, right? Like Pandora. It's a brand that definitely makes sense. Someone interested in IKEA will definitely be someone interested in H&M, right? Now, someone interested in Gap, someone interested in Nutella, right? So then you have your different types of other competitors over here. You have apparel. Forever 21 makes sense, right? You have a public figure. So maybe in this you can probably target someone like a anything from a Kendall Jenner to a someone a little bit more specific, right? So you have all of these different types of tools. The idea is to take this, make whatever sense you can of it, go to this particular part, and then figure out what affinity over here makes sense with your audience. So the more you do this, the more you optimize, the better it will be. So to be very honest, there is no clear method or formula to actually do this. The idea is to keep testing, keep trying out different things, and eventually you will figure out something that actually makes sense for you. So that's pretty much how audience insights as a tool sort of works. Uh, Let me know if you have any questions or any thoughts on this, and we can take it forward. Do like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot, guys. Until next time. Bye bye.